fresh homemade pico de gallo. Anybody can make it. Have you ever wanted to make pico de gallo at home? It's simple, it's easy, it's delicious, it's fresh. Stick around. I'm going to show you how to make it. And not really a secret, but the key ingredient to making this work, and it'll be surprising. We're cooking with chill. Welcome to my kitchen. Pico de gallo is made of simple ingredients: tomatoes, onions, jalapeno peppers, cilantro, lime juice, and salt. These are Roma tomatoes. You could use plum tomatoes, you can use beefsteak tomatoes, whichever you prefer. I'm going to use Roma tomatoes today. So I usually just clip the head off of the tomato and slice them pretty thin, maybe a 1/4 inch like this. Now, when you're slicing these tomatoes, you want to make sure you've got a very, very sharp knife, because slicing tomatoes without a sharp knife can be a real pain. I usually stand them up like this and then cut them into like French fries, kind of. And then I just lay them on their side and then just cut them into cubes. About like that. You don't want your tomatoes to be very big. You don't want anything in this recipe to be exceptionally big. It's just the right size that's really the key here for all this. So I'm going to put 3 tomatoes in this bowl. There's 1. So I was doing a little bit of research on pico de gallo, and I've eaten pico de gallo all my life, but I've always wondered, what does pico de gallo mean? And I was really surprised. What I found from Miss Google is she's saying that it means rooster's beak. Now, rooster's beak was a little bit of a surprise, and what they're saying is that it's probably called that because it used to be eaten by hand a lot. So they think, and that they would pick it up with their fingers like this and it would form a rooster's beak. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Okay. Let me get this. That piece there's a little too big. Probably that piece there's a little too big too. I think I need to get a new cutting board. This one here moves around too easily. Okay. And finally, let's get the 3rd tomato in here. Once again, about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe 3/8 of an inch, somewhere in there. Like that. And then we'll take all this and do about the same with that. These are juicy tomatoes, look at that. And that's going to make for some really good pico de gallo. I like to put the tomatoes in the bowl first so that everything blends well with the tomatoes. Because if you put like the cilantro on bottom or the jalapeno on bottom, sometimes the stuff gets stuck at the bottom and it doesn't mix in well with the tomatoes. So when you're slicing the onions, you want them pretty small too. You don't want to bite into the onion and just get overwhelmed by onion flavor. And that's part of the key here, is that you have a nice balance of flavors between the onion and the tomato and the jalapeno and the cilantro. When I slice my onions, I usually try to follow the radius of the onion itself, so that these outside pieces tend to be a little more uniform. Here we go. That's about right. 1 onion and 3 medium-sized Roma tomatoes. And then I'll just cut the cap off this jalapeno here. And then what I usually do is just slice them about like this. So some people like the seeds in it. I don't really care for the seeds in it. If you want your pico de gallo to be a little hotter, leave the seeds in it because that's where a lot of the heat comes from. Now you do want to trim off this membrane right here. It's got a little bit of a bitter flavor to it. So let me just trim that off for the most part. Here we go. I'm not worried about a few seeds. And then what I usually do is just cut them in slices, maybe an 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick, like that. Oh, the jalapeno smells so good. Yeah, about like that. There we go. So those jalapenos look good there. Let me take that, put that in there. I'm gonna grab another jalapeno. So that's just not enough in there. We need probably twice as much jalapeno. Once again, I'm just gonna cut the cap off and then just slice along here. Okay, get that out. There's a little bit of that membrane there. And then I'll just slice this out here. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, so that should be good. And now the cilantro, I try to take most of the big stems off. And you can leave them in there. They don't really have any flavor, but I usually try to focus on just the leaves. So pico de gallo is a garnish, or really kind of a salsa that can be used for just about anything and put on just about anything. I like it on fajitas. I like it on my eggs. I like it in my omelet. It really just adds a fresh flavor to anything that I'm eating. So you want this chopped up pretty good. One thing that kind of helps if you can roll it up a bit. Oh, smell that cilantro. And then we'll just rock the knife across here like this. And that's about right. And that's going to be just about the right amount of cilantro we need as well. So let's put that in there. And then I want to stir this. Let's move this out of the way because we no longer need the cutting board. And I want to stir this a bit, just toss it and get the tomatoes with the onions and the cilantro all together. That's good. That's good. Break up those chunks of onion. Yeah. So you see how you've got a nice even mixture of cilantro and jalapeno throughout there. Now, you need about a tablespoon of lime juice. Not too much. That's about a tablespoon there. And then, for me, the secret to pico de gallo is salt. But you really don't want a lot of salt. And that's the secret, really. You just want a couple of pinches in here. Maybe 3 pinches. You don't want the pico de gallo to be salty. That's not the purpose of the salt. The purpose of the salt is to help to draw out the flavors and the moisture from the onions and the tomatoes and just kind of enhance it just a little bit. You don't really taste the salt in this. So you just want to stir this up well. So that looks good. It reminds me of the Mexican flag. It's beautiful. This needs to sit in the refrigerator for about an hour, get away with 30 minutes or so. I like to let it sit overnight, let those flavors meld well. But 30 minutes to an hour, you can go ahead and start eating it. Tell me what you'd like to have with your pico de gallo. You eat it with chips, or do you put it on fajitas? You put it in tacos? You use it as a garnish with your enchiladas? Comment, try the recipe, comment, tell me what you think, tell me how you use it. Y'all have a good night. Bye. Have fun.